Forget our fixation with pasta and pizza, the hand gestures, loud voices, and our impeccable sense of style for a moment. These are all relatively accurate stereotypes, but Italians have a lot more quirky obsessions that make them unique in the world. And by unique, I mean easy to make fun of. Italians seems to be the most delicate nationality. We're incredibly self-aware people and our bodies are mysteriously extra sensitive to changes in internal or external temperature, pressure, and overall condition. Like we're human thermobarometers or something. A gust of cold wind here and boom, indigestion. An unwanted draft here, boom, neck pain. Too much sweat, boom, fever. Walking out with wet hair, boom, you catch a cold. Spicy food, boom, stomach cramps. A bad smell, boom, nausea. Cold air on your nose, boom, nasal congestion. The outside world is a very dangerous place to Italians. Which is why it's always easy to spot an Italian traveling anywhere in the world, especially in relatively colder places. It is not because they wear Armani, it's because they're wearing an insulated bomber jacket with a full-fledged hoodie made of extra virgin goose feathers by Armani. Il piumino. Brrr, che freddino. And vice versa, Italians will give you a funny look if you're wearing flip-flops and a tank top in late spring or early autumn when it's already too cold in Italy for Italian standards. Over the centuries, this extreme sensitivity to cold led Italians to develop some unique and geographically enclosed illnesses that no one else on the planet ever experiences for some mysterious reason. So buckle up as we're about to enter the mythical world of Italian-specific afflictions. We'll start with the most common Italian disease, l'indigestione. You guessed it right. That's indigestion. We Italians are obsessed with food, both cooking and eating it, so it's no surprise that our favorite organs are the stomach and the intestine. All of our emotions go through those. We talk openly and extensively about our digestive process, and it's no surprise that indigestion is incredibly feared. Here's what the Mayo Clinic lists as common causes of indigestion. Overeating or eating too quickly, fatty, greasy or spicy foods, too much caffeine, alcohol, chocolate or carbonated beverages, smoking, anxiety, certain antibiotics, pain relievers and iron supplements.
Something I ate doesn't exactly agree with me.
And here's what Italians think the most common cause of indigestion is. Ho preso freddo. It was a bit cold, hence I got indigestion. Il freddo, cold air, does not cause indigestion. Which leads me to the nightmare of every Italian child, la congestione. Meaning, if you're at the beach and bathe within 3 hours of eating, blood will stop flowing to your stomach, allegedly due to the seawater being cold, which is never the case in the scorching Italian summer. It will cause it to constrict and you'll drown. Speaking of Italians being dramatic. Okay, I'll admit there is some medical truth in there, where consuming an icy cold drink after a meal in extreme heat or throwing yourself off an iceberg in the middle of the Atlantic may literally shock your stomach. Plus it's dangerous, don't do it. But Italians take it to the extreme and torment their children who need to suffer for 3 hours in baking weather under the parasol on the beach before they can touch the seawater again.
I've been staring at the edge of the water.
Been there, done that. Not fun. Ah, poi il raffreddore. Okay guys, I think we can all agree that the common cold is caused by a virus. I mean, I say we can all agree, but then look what happened with that Hide virus. But no, Italians believe that raffreddore is caused by a raffreddamento of the air, meaning the air getting colder. So allegedly you catch a cold when you walk outside with your hair wet.
Are you okay, miss?
When you stand outside without a jacket, il piumino, remember? And when, wait for it, you sweat, but are not wearing a vest underneath. That is the maglietta della salute, literally the t-shirt of health. You heard it correctly. Sweating in cold weather will result in a cold, but only in Italy. When I was back home last year, I caught COVID and my auntie told me that it was probably because when I picked her up, she noticed I wasn't wearing a jacket while driving. in May. It must have been that terrible air conditioning, one of Italians' main enemies. Speaking of enemies, and still on the topic of air temperature, a draft is possibly an Italian's worst nightmare. Lo spiffero, mamma mia. More than pineapple on pizza, trust me, it's pure kryptonite. Italians do not tolerate sitting at a restaurant and having a cold draft coming from the door. Hey guys! Brrr. Or be on a bus with an open window blowing air on them, or driving with the AC blasting on their neck. This is because cold air not only causes indigestion, congestion and the cold, but also, first and foremost, il torcicollo. That's Italian for stiff neck, but way more dramatic sounding. Torcere means to wrench, and collo is neck, so basically a draft is neck wrenching. Despite me having lived abroad for over 15 years, this condition is so ingrained in my DNA, well, most likely in my psyche, that I am still unable to sit in a restaurant that has a draft.
This is fine.
I will ask to be moved to a different table, or else I'd rather leave. The draft won't give me a torcicollo, but it will definitely upset me and make me feel incredibly uncomfortable. We like to consume and enjoy food in a comfortable, welcoming and warm environment.
C'è qualcosa su questo menù che non galleggi su una brodaglia grassa?
That is not negotiable, and I will not argue with that. Cold air can also cause back pain, apparently. Last summer, I had a friend visiting from Italy for a week, and she and her boyfriend slept on a perfectly functional and comfortable, inflatable bed in my living room. One morning I woke up and she was standing there wearing a heated pad all around her abdomen.
Switch on the pad from hand controller.
And I'm like, what the hell is that? And she goes like, the air inside the air mattress is cold and it's giving me back pain. And I'm like, girl, please, you're 50 years away from being in your 80s. It's too early for that. Needless to say, we're no longer friends. What a pain in the neck. And no, not the torcicollo kind. But you know what type of back pain is not caused by cold air? Il colpo della strega, which hilariously translates as the witch's blow. That's what Italians call pulling your back out, as if it was some sort of witchery or something. Go figure. But it only gets better. Speaking of witchery and the occult, another Italian-only tragedy is il malocchio. That's when someone, usually a strega, a witch, also intended metaphorically, jinxes you with a bad spell. Malocchio, where mal means evil and occhio is eye, so evil eye, is a superstitious condition characterized by misfortune, unluckiness, negative energy, and sometimes, obviously, illness. Oh yes, Italians can be astonishingly superstitious. Then there is the milder and more generic accidente, like copriti bene che se no ti prendi un accidente. Cover yourself up or else you'll catch something, you'll catch your death, take a chill. Accidente is a catch-all term that means any illness you could possibly get, but usually something mild like a cold or the flu. A note to Italians, the flu, short for influenza, is also caused by a virus, not by cold temperatures. And finally, my favorite of all time, that condition only Italians seem to lament. It will make them feel particularly tired, perhaps dizzy, and in the worst possible scenario, which to Italians is all the time, faint. I'm talking about the infamous, super contagious, and nearly deadly calo di zuccheri. Ah, il calo di zuccheri.
Hai un calo di zuccheri, eh?
Sì, è una maledizione.
It literally translates as sugar's drop, and it refers to having low blood sugar.
Con un poco di zucchero la pillola va giù.
You guessed it right. That's what happens when Italians haven't eaten enough. Which is why we eat all the time, or else the entire peninsula would be covered in fainted bodies with not enough sugar in the bloodstreams. Duh. Mangia mangia che se no ti viene un calo di zuccheri, but don't eat too much or you get indigestion. Eating in Italy is a fine balance between losing your senses and purging. Oh, Italians, so strong and opinionated, and yet so exceptionally frail and vulnerable. Vulnerable to cold weather, wind, fog, rain, drafts, low-calorie diets, and even air mattresses. That's why if you really want to get to an Italian heart, you won't give them wine, flowers, or other presents. Oh no. You'll give them a heavy jacket, a woolen scarf, a draft-shielded restaurant dinner, or even a down duvet if you're feeling generous. Because you know what? We may not know much about modern medicine, but we know we like to keep our body warm and our bellies full. I'm Marco, your not so typical Italian living abroad. And if you're Italian watching this, girl, you're 50 years too young to get offended, okay? Make sure you subscribe to the channel and check out our web magazine at inevitably.com for a bunch of Italian themed articles. Grazie for watching and see you soon. Arrivederci, ciao! Brrr, che freddino!